Hi,
Hey, everybody.
house.
Welcome back, you guys. Oh, I almost said welcome back to Action Studio. Welcome back to Late Night Snack. We are so excited you guys are here. And if you guys are here, then you guys are here to find out more about the 10 Commandments killings. We are going to step by step explain each commandment they're killing, what they mean, why they mean it, and who did it. So we hope you guys are ready. We hope you guys are strapped in and ready for the ride. I am your beautiful host, Irish Melly. Right up here, we have
Yes.
the beautiful Lady Di. Wait, this
Hello,
way.
everybody.
This. One day I will get this.
I know it's hard.
Right up there in that corner is the
Got it.
beautiful Dewanda. It's the angled ones that get me.
I know.
Right over here.
Hi,
That guy's not here today,
It's the
but we do have Spider-Man in the house. So everybody give a big round of applause
Spidey's
for
hanging
Spider-Man. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and jump into the 10 Commandments killings. And Di is going to go ahead and open us up with that. Di?
Okay, so we'll be kind, Deb. So first you want to say hi to Blaze and BRT.
Oh,
and
yes,
Debbie.
I didn't pull up my
So glad
chat.
to see you guys and anybody else who's out there watching.
Blaze, Debbie, BRT, yep, okay. Hey, guys.
This is our last hotel stream. So we thought we would end it with the actual 10 Commandments killer, the serial killer who is behind the scenes of everything that's going on in hotel. Is the reason all of this is because of the biggest villain, as far as I'm concerned, the only true villain, because we never found out that there was any backstory to make him seem normal to any of us, is James Patrick March. And we already know how he's connected with all of the different people, except for one that we've kind of been skating around, and that is John Lowe, our police detective.
Yes.
So John Lowe is a police detective who we find out is kind of on the edge of his brain because his son has been abducted, and we know that's all been contrived by Patrick March and the Countess. They drove him over the edge because I think it's really interesting, because if you go back and look, the reason that James Patrick March met John in the first place was because of Donovan.
Yes.
One.
Uh-oh.
Just a forewarning, guys. We have a bit of a delay. So.
Am I? Can you hear me, BRT? Now? Am I delaying? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You were frozen for a second. You're good now.
We found that he was investigating what they thought was a murder, but it was really some guy bought his family a heater, and they all died by accident, and he blew his brains out. It just kind of rattled him. He needed to go and have a drink. Well, as luck would have it, probably the only contrived thing that doesn't happen in a hotel is he stumbles into the Hotel Cortez to get a drink after he sees this horrific murder.
Yeah.
And Donovan eyes him out of the corner of his eye like, I bet you I could get him to go upstairs, because the Countess is upstairs having her monthly dinner with JPM, and I don't want him there.
Right. Donovan definitely does not like her spending time with James.
No, so if it wasn't for him walking into that bar at that moment, none of this stuff would happen.
Yeah.
So he brings him up to, he wants more alcohol, and Liz says, no, the bar's closed because it's 2:00. And he's like, there's a party upstairs. He's like, I'm not into dudes. It's like, no problem. There's plenty of stuff upstairs.
That's one of his kind of golden rules, is that he never sought anybody out. They always stumbled on him. Stumbled into the hotel.
He was never looking for anyone. He was always the guy that just kind of like was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But when temptation hit, he wasn't very good at.
He did not have much willpower.
He did not have any willpower. He just didn't. And I just think it's in the beginning.
Not at all.
I mean, for this particular meeting, when he goes upstairs and interrupts the Countess with JPM, and she's like, I have someone. I think at that moment, he really just wanted to bring him a victim.
Let's just say BRT's comment. He said a monthly dinner with the Countess would be amaze balls as heck. Hashtag side note.
And I honestly don't think that it was because he was who he was or anything other than he knew he was a police officer. And I think he thought JPM would rather kill him than spend the time with Countess.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this particular meeting has one of the best lines. Oh, we do have to do the awards for Hotel, but so when they bring him up and the Countess looks at him and he says, what are you the Countess of? And she looks at him and says, honey, with those blue eyes, I'll be the Countess of anything you want. And the way she said it to him, it was just so
you want.
And he walks in and JPM explains to him about the different people he's met along the way and that he now can read auras.
Yes.
And most people have blue or green. If they're very mystical, they have purple. Mystical people are purple. We find in other seasons and episodes as well. He said,
very true to form. Let me say it is actually very true to form with auras and people who can read them with the colors that they see and what they mean usually. So I like that Murphy did that again.
So John's, he said, but yours, my friend, was completely black as coal. Well, he says something else that I don't want to repeat because I don't like that comment. But it's black. And he said, which means two things. You're either that evil to your core or you have the ability not to show anything to people.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's number two. I don't think that John is a rotten to the core person. He loves his children. Mm-hmm. I just think it's because he's a police officer.
But think about all the serial killers who've loved their families and taken great care of them, but they're out murdering other people.
Yeah,
that doesn't make him a good person. You just never know.
That the reason that he had the block was because he was a police officer, a homicide police officer, and he had to put those walls up because if he didn't, he'd really lose his shit.
Right. And because of keeping stuff from his family, not wanting to bring stuff home and everything else.
Exactly. Like and I know from experience, my father, when he was a police officer, worked the abused child unit, and he would never come home and talk about his work so I think it might even be a little of both. But anyway, at this moment is where we see him recruit someone that he wants to continue his killing spree. Upon investigation, we find out that JPM would...
Uh-oh, you're frozen.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think
JPM was able to do 2 murders, and they hadn't yet called it the 10 Commandments yet. There was a bunch of field workers on a Sunday. No. Am I still frozen?
No.
Oh. There was a bunch of field workers on a Sunday when someone pulled out all of their teeth after they were killed, and they left them in a... And this was back in the 30s. Mm-hmm. And they didn't call it anything or do anything. It was just this horrific murder. And then, oh my God, what's the other one he did? I'm blocked. What's the other one? JPM did 2.
The only one I keep remembering is while he was having sex with the girl and slicing her up.
There wasn't a commandment killing, was it?
No.
That's the only one I remember that I really like. That's the first one that pops into my head when I think of James Patrick March. So,
because that was remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, and they were working on Sunday. Let's see. It wasn't. I
think Mel's looking it up.
Are we sure he did 2? I thought he only did 1.
No, maybe because I'm looking at the other ones, and
no, because that wasn't when we got to the Countess was like his 10. Final one, but I think he only.
But he didn't do them in order.
No, not at all.
He didn't do it in order. I mean, I do remember he did remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, and that's the one that JPM did. But I thought he had 2 beakers in the room full, but I could be wrong.
No, I think only 1.
So he finds John. He basically, without John's knowledge, thanks to absinthe and a lot of stress and losing a child, he says, you're going to commit these murders. You're going to become the lead detective on the murders so that you won't be suspect. And you're going to complete
You're going to be the lead detective on the case.
Yes, on the case. And you're going to complete my work.
Yes.
Now, we don't know how long it is between he actually starts murdering and this happens, because we know that was 3 years since he walked into the murders. So they had to push him over the edge. They took Holden away from him. By taking Holden, they took Alex. Sky was a mess. So he starts investigating these murders. And one of the first ones that he comes up with is the one at the Bonaventure Hotel. To me, is just, they're all horrific.
Yes.
But he shows up, and this is obviously do not covet thy neighbor's wife. And there's a couple that have been coming into the hotel every Thursday having an affair. And John arranged it for them to meet at the Bonaventure. And when the police get there, the man is still alive. He is super glued inside the woman, and she is dead. And she is just, the way that the rest of these murders were carried out was pretty horrific.
Yeah, his eyes were gouged out too, weren't they?
They were gouged out, and he couldn't
cut his tongue out.
And his tongue. That was what his tongue.
And he was trying to tell them that he was still attached to her. They couldn't pull them apart, and she was dead. Because someone gave him some Viagra and some super glue, and boy, they did a number.
Yeah. My God.
Yes.
So do you want to say?
Plus she was impaled through the back, so.
Yeah. And it went through like his side, didn't it?
Yep.
So if we just take the 10 Commandments in order, which is easier than going through. I am the Lord thy God, thy know now of other gods before me. This was when you see him investigating a murder of a man who was selling an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And he also thought he was a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
So
the one that's him on?
Huh?
Is that the one that Scarlett catches him on?
No. Scarlett catches him on the
that is honor thy mother and father.
Okay. No, she catches him on that one, and she catches him. Oh, Scarlett. I'm thinking of Ren. Never mind. So no, so that's the
first in on the double homicide,
which is honor thy mother and father. Yeah.
The people who were hanging with their basically disemboweled. Where he basically, and he said he saw someone in a hat, and it's really crazy how they do this, because I'm like, how could it be him? He was right there. But they do explain it at the end by showing flashbacks, and John goes back and explains how he was able to do all of these murders and actually commit them. And on a couple of them, he was able to go back 2 and 3 times. The one with the false gods, he had to go back and clean the Oscar, and he had to go back and do a couple of other things. It's really takes someone with quite a mind to do this.
Well, I think
he's going through, and so we got that's thou shalt not commit adultery. We know that one as well. And Charlotte, thank goodness, Scarlett saw the bodies, but she didn't really see him.
Right.
You know the one I'm trying to think of? I think the other one that March did was thou shalt not steal. Didn't he have somebody's hands?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So he did do 2. All right.
Yeah, because I don't remember John doing thou shalt not steal.
Yeah,
he took
those two.
He took their teeth because they were talking, I guess, and then he took their hands. So that Don didn't do "Thou shalt not steal." He did do the adultery. The last one we'll get to the end, because remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy was his. See, because these are it would have been easier had he done them in actual order.
Yeah.
Thou not shalt bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Yes.
And I'm trying to, that wasn't the false gods one, because that's the one where he goes into the church.
Yeah.
Because there's thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife and thou shalt not commit adultery. The neighbor's wife was the one that he dreamed up where he cut off his partner's penis and brought that there.
Yeah, that had to do with
And that just reminded me so much of Murder House, how he was so convinced that his partner was having an affair with Alex.
Well, and he pretty much he did cover her, because he did say, well, you don't deserve Alex. At the end.
Yeah, but I mean, he was just being, it was just kind of, so then there was he was in bed with Sally and they saw this guy send us your money, like a televangelist person. And that one, he went up to him and thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's goods. No, that's not it. Steal, adultery, kill.
Why don't you read them in order?
So the first one is, I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. And I thought that was the one with the statue, the Oscar that they were worshiping.
Right.
The second one is, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, which I believe is the televangelist.
That is the televangelist.
Then there's remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, which we know are the workers, because they had no other choice. They needed to work on a Sunday. Honor thy mother and father. We found the people, the ones that killed their children, kind of like the Menendez brothers almost. I'm going to leave five blank, because 5 is the end of the story. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yeah, so we'll skip over that one.
Right, so that's 5. Thou shalt not steal. I know that was something with him. He thought someone was stealing from him and he chopped off his arms. I got to go back and look. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Now there is another one where he goes in and there are like a pagan kind of a god there. So, and he goes into the people. There's like 3 or 4 and a woman, and they're like, welcome. It's almost kind of like a cultish kind of a thing. Witness? I don't think so. Because that's when you lie. Well, yeah, that could have been that or the televangelist. Oh God, I should have watched it last night again for the 8th time. Because that's when God is regarded of all truth, and he believes that you're obligated to honor the truth, and he believes that televangelist wasn't telling the truth. So that could have been the false witness. Right. And the other one should have been, then there's thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's goods. Whereas envy, greed, and jealousy.
Yeah.
So for some reason, that one's escaping me too. But we know he does the pastor in the church, the guy with the...
Did they actually do all 10 of them?
Well, he comes and he always brings a souvenir.
I know.
So, you see the one with the idol, you see the one with the brothers, you see the couple. You see the one in the church with the televangelist, because that's the one where he finds Ren there to help him. And that's when they think they had a break because there's a witness in the case. And then towards the end, he said he only had 2 left or something, and he went to the pagan church and he killed them.
Right.
And then he's like, there's only 1 left, and the one left is thou shalt not kill. And just when you think that the Countess is going to get away, she's dodged all these bullets and she's pulled herself back on the brink of death several times. You thought for sure Ramona was going to get her. And it's so classic because it's almost like it's like you see her and she's walking and she's going out the door and John just looks at her and he just kills. It's not like there's any kind of like struggle or whatever. It's kind of like when someone holds up a knife and someone goes, yeah, I got a gun, bam, and then you're dead. It was just so quick and so swift, and I think she must have been completely bowled over because he had just worked her way back. She was down in the basement for God knows how long, and Sally's sewing her up, and so he finished his work, and he was so proud of him, and he was like, what do we do next? And John's like, I don't want to do next. Maybe I'm going to have to go back and look, BRT, because I could swear I wrote them down, but it was last week.
We're going to go back
because some of them were very short, like the one where he went in with the
talk
pagan
about all
people.
10 of them, but
yeah,
it was very short. We didn't get a lot of detail.
And that's when the poor Countess finally loses her battle. I mean, you've seen her like have 10 lives, not even 9 lives after. And you got to think that it must have really been a shock. It must have been like, God, I basically dodged so many bullets, and then he cut her head off. And the last, I mean, that's such a serial killer thing to do, in the room with all of the beakers, and then there's the Countess's head.
Yep.
So our poor John, after he does that, he thinks he's done, and March is like, no, and he's like, yeah, I'm done.
No, you're not done.
And he takes.
No, you're not.
He's like, we're getting out of here, and he took Alex and he took Holden. And they left. And they went to live at home, and he was out trying to get them blood to live. And one night he was out trying to do that, and he got caught and he got shot, and he was trying, like Donovan was trying so hard to get out so he wouldn't die there. John just wanted to get in so he would die there so he could spend the time with Alex and with Holden. And he was like like this short. He died right outside the gate.
Yeah.
Right outside the door.
And you're just
kind of like Michael Langdon, just not enough room.
Just like Donovan was like, get me the fuck out. He wanted to die in the street because he didn't want to stay there.
Right.
And and John was not.
John wasn't super excited.
So, it's just sad because the only time you really get to see him now is at Devil's Night, once a year for a couple.
The question is, and we were talking about this earlier, but we didn't talk about him because we wanted to do this separately. Do you think John was truly a villain, or do you think? I think March made him into one because he had no choice. He took away.
I completely agree.
About how you break a man? You take away everything.
Everything he loves.
He took away his child. He took away his wife. He took away his job, basically.
Yeah.
And then between Sally
he lost
everything, and Sally is giving him absinthe, and she's egging him on. And like John, like Mike had mentioned earlier, things come to him. He's not one to go out and seek them. So there was something in him that March thought he could mold him to finish his work. Because on Devil's Night that we did the other day, John wasn't ready yet. He thought they were all bunch of actors and they were all full of shit. And you don't really see him know what's going on until like the 9th episode, like the one before the end, is when he starts to really kind of come around, and then that's when he leaves, and Sally has to have her Sally, everybody kind of gets what they want except for poor John. If you think about it, to get him to have what he wanted, if he would have died inside the hotel, at least he could have been there with Alex and with Holden. But no.
Yeah, he ended up getting the short end of the stick.
He's the one who got the short end of the stick. And we don't even know why, because we don't really see him as a bad person. We see him as someone who's very easily manipulated, like someone who follows a cult.
See, and this is my problem.
Yeah.
This whole character is my problem with Hotel in a nutshell. It's all over the place. It's like one minute we're led to believe that he's innocent and manipulated. Next minute he's delusional. The next minute he's actually giving into it. And it's like, it all makes sense, but it's all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
And how it all unfolds is like, kind of a suspension of disbelief a little bit of how it all happened. Because he had conscious thought. He was able to make decisions, while all this was going on. But then all of a sudden when he's doing these killings, he's like out of it. So,
well, but what about people with multiple personality disorders? They don't remember what they do.
Yeah.
It's just there was a lot with this character, and it wasn't quite ironed out right. Good
there was
twist.
A couple of things. Even though it kind of explained how he saw JPM in the one killing, I really didn't see that he would go back and walk with the hat on. It seemed kind of silly to me. But other parts of how they explained what he did were perfectly explained. And it is someone who's going through a psychosis, who is mentally ill because they've had their whole lives shattered. He went from, and Marge said when he was first talking to him that he had a professor who said, what do you need to do to a man to make him lose it, to go on the edge?
The psychosis is good and all. The only problem with the psychosis, how it was presented here, was he had his breaks when it was convenient for the show to have his breaks. It wasn't random.
No.
It was very, very calculated.
Well, I mean, that's the part of the story. I mean, it's kind of, I kind of figured it out halfway through, but I couldn't figure out how they did it, because usually it's kind of like that. It's always someone.
I wish they would have added a supernatural element to it to even explain it a little bit better. Count as put some voodoo on him or something,
Yeah.
Or even a little bit more of him with a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But as it is, I mean, they wrapped it up.
Yeah, because there were.
We all know a lot of times towards the end of the season, it gets a little bit like, let's get this taken care of and let's wrap this up. But I still didn't hate it.
When they start rushing. Yeah.
Well, this was Ryan's M. Night Shyamalan season. He wanted to be that big old twist at the end that nobody saw coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did a good. I mean, obviously,
we find out that he's.
And this is the one that people will watch if they're not even into American Horror Story, because it's just kind of it's an entertaining story. Yeah. It sucks you in.
Lady Gaga.
I mean, just every single character is well written.
But this.
Go ahead, Don.
Mm-hmm. This entire season had so much going on that it was. It was kind of hard to keep your focus with one specific thing, because they were always, you're dealing with the Countess and now you're dealing with JPM, and then
but to me that's American Horror Story to blend
together because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any. I mean, to me that's kind of what American Horror Story is. They go out with the different. They did it a little more in Hotel, I think.
Yeah. Because
of how the characters were played. Like he gave Mayor Winningham almost half of an episode. You know what I mean? He gave a lot of characters a lot more than he usually would. Well, and I appreciated that.
I did too. I agree with you completely.
Hotel was about grandiosity. It was about these huge, larger than life events and characters. And
he delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think this one won more awards than any of the other episodes, any other seasons.
I believe so too. Yeah.
I believe it did. Yeah.
I know for
Hotel-
sure Lady Gaga won a Golden Globe.
Right. We
Very
know that.
Hotel was the highest point for the show.
Yeah, so to this
And
day, I mean, actually, I'm going to go back
Everything
and
is
watch
split
that
down
now.
the middle because
So I
people,
can.
people either love Hotel or they hate it.
Yeah.
There is no in
Kind-
between. You either
it's
love
kinda
it or you hate it.
If you want to put it to like a music thing, people who are really into Metallica, then the Black Album came out, and then people were like, no, they were sellouts. But they weren't. It was a really good, well-made record that other people could experience Metallica where maybe they hadn't before. It was a little different, but it was still a good album. I mean, this to me is like him showing the world and a lot of people. I thought that
Yeah, BRT said, yeah, his first time through the season, he was overwhelmed with the characters and their stories too.
well, there was definitely a lot going on.
There's a lot going on all at one time. And it's one of those things that you have to watch the season a couple times to really let it all sink in and to understand what's going on, because it goes by so quick, but there is so many storylines and things going on around you and so many connections with each character. And it's a lot to take in.
Because he's never done it before and he's never done it since.
Yeah.
Nope.
But I think too that this was like a season where it's the 5th season. I think in Coven, people started to really talk about it. And then Freak Show came after that. And some of the people who were not like in it from the beginning might have went, yeah. But Hotel brought a lot of back. Hotel, I know a lot of people never even watched any other episode of Hotel.
Yeah, because there was a changing of the guard because of the fact that Jessica Lange wasn't part of this season at all.
I didn't hate it. I mean, I couldn't tell you from the first 5 seasons which one was my favorite because I loved every season from 1 through 5. I loved every single one of them.
Yeah.
All for different reasons. You know, he made them all so different. It starts to change to me when you get to Roanoke and Colts, etc. But this season is I think this one, even though there were some references to a couple other things like Queenie came, other than Queenie being I didn't think there was a lot of crossover. I didn't think you had to have seen any other seasons, to watch this one.
No, and you didn't even have to know Queenie and who she was to watch this season because she was literally such a small little piece of this. Oh. I mean, if you want to go back and watch, Apocalypse later, yeah, you would want to know who Queenie is because
But this is one of the few. It's like since I started at 3 and then went forward, now that I'm watching them in order, I would have liked to have watched them in order because then even Freak Show would have made a little more sense to me once had I watched Apocalypse and even Murder House.
Right.
But I didn't. But this one, I don't think you need to watch. What do you guys think?
No, I totally agree with you. I think this is definitely a great standalone season. It has its ups and downs. It has it has my likes and my dislikes. But I think overall, I mean, they tried to tell a very good story and they did a good job around it. It was just there was a lot to put into one season. And I mean, they did the best they could with what they had because it worked out all right. It's confusing at times, but it works out.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go back with the addiction demon a couple of times. There's
I don't think we need it.
And at the end, I wanted to ask the panel a question.
Some of the storylines.
We lost what you said.
What's that? Well, I think that some of the stories weren't really necessary, like the children at the school. That really wasn't necessary. We could have done without that. I know that they did that for the Halloween factor, but I don't think that was really a necessary thing. They could have completely.
They fed Ramona and kept her alive, but they could have had anybody in there,
Yeah,
but then we wouldn't have seen the beautiful Angela Bassett.
Yeah. No, I mean that part. I mean, other than the children,
Yeah.
I mean, I even see now the little kids in the basement. They were necessary. Without them, she wouldn't have pulled through.
Well, they're all intertwined and necessary. The problem is a lot of it was introduced so late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Had we seen it a little bit sooner, it would have probably made a different type of impact.
Yeah.
But even then, I still, you know.
So what did you want to ask the panel, Di?
Yeah, because we're at 35.
Oh, okay, at the very end, when he was making the pact with the ghost not to kill people.
Yeah.
You saw Mr. Wu, and you saw, you know, the girls in the beginning, and then you saw the realtor lady.
Marcy.
What happened to Natasha? She killed Natasha, and you never saw her come back.
Yeah.
She killed Natasha.
And it's not like she didn't have some unfinished business.
Yeah, we never saw her come back. Yeah.
Unless Natasha just didn't want to show herself like Tristan.
She killed
Natasha.
That's
true, too. That could have been.
So.
The actress wasn't available that day of shooting.
Yeah.
You know, because if you think about it, what would have made her really happy is if Valentino would have died at the hotel.
Right.
Instead of
yeah.
But I was just thinking about that the other day, just a little. I'm like, what happened to Natasha? They should still be duking it out.
Right. For eternity. Yeah. Well, with that being said, that is
so
the 10 Commandments and the 10 Commandments killings explained.
Let's see. I'm looking at the Viagra and super glue trick. I'm just looking at some of the comments. And Blaze, I hope you're still with us. So nice to see you. Deb, I hope you feel better. Yeah, she's right. Such great characters. I can't wait. We're going to have a hard time with the one-liners with this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We really are. Yeah, the nailed tongues. I mean, this is pretty gruesome.
This was a very gruesome season. It really was.
Yeah.
Did you say something?
You said you had a question for the panel?
Oh, that was it. The Natasha question.
You said before. Oh, that was the question.
Yeah, that was the question. Okay. And before we go, we want to make an announcement.
Yes.
For next week.
Hey.
Hey.
I've been talking most of the time. Somebody else want to?
We're gonna, in light of Pride Month, and that a lot of our viewership has kind of latched on with this, with RuPaul and celebrating in the world, the state of the world. We decided we're gonna do like a kind of Pride show, which is basically Pride in name. It's just a celebration show, a show of solidarity, show of love, show of whatever you want to bring to the table.
So if there's anybody out there who would like to come on for a couple of minutes and talk about their experiences with anything to do with gay pride, we're going to be kind of throwing our own little gay pride non-parade
virtual,
because it's going to be live, but we just didn't want to let Gay Pride Month go.
You know what? They're starting to bring parades back. People are just doing them in cars now.
Yeah, that's true. And the one they did, they are still doing the one here, but they're doing a Black Lives Matter and a Pride in together. But we want it, we're not going to be able to go to a parade because we can't. And we just thought it would be really nice to, especially in light of our audience and who we are as people and how
in light of the Supreme Court ruling yesterday.
And after yesterday, we were all just so, it was just so amazing. So next Thursday is Celebrate Gay Pride Day.
Celebrate love.
Celebrate love. Any kind of love. So if anyone has a story that they want to share,
is love, right?
Absolutely. Reach out to one of us. You can send us messages on Facebook. You can IM us. If anybody wants to give us a story to read, or we can send you a link and you can come on for a couple minutes and tell your story. We just wanted to involve.
We definitely want to involve our audience and we want to interact with you guys. And we want you guys to be part of Pride celebration with us because, I mean, it's celebrating whether you're gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. It doesn't matter. It's all about acceptance and, like Mike said, love. That's what this is about. Acceptance and love for just your human being.
Maybe you have a gay best friend. Maybe you have a great story about when you came out with your family. Or the first time you just experienced unconditional love, which is really what Pride is all about, is just unconditional love.
Yes. So with that being said.
And do we want to talk about the other thing we're doing?
What other thing?
The fact that we're actually going to be connected with the Trevor Project.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hello.
That was the whole point.
Charity.
The big part of it, right?
Yeah, the big part of it. Thank you.
Point.
So we have decided to have a charity during our stream. We are going to, and not just during our stream, before and after, also you'll be able to, we want to take donations for the Trevor Project, which for those of you who don't know much about, it helps at-risk youth, homeless at-risk youth in the gay community, in just the community in general. Mike, do you want to touch on it a little bit more?
It's basically, it's one of the most well known now because of RuPaul supporting the Trevor Project on her shows, but it really is focused around
a lot of people are focusing on it now too. The daily social distancing show with Trevor Noah was talking about it too.
Yeah, so it's a charity where they find shelter, housing, support for gay youth, transgender. It's a great organization that provides additional support when people feel down and out. They don't feel they have any other support.
And sometimes people want to give us a super chat or if we're on Patreon. We're not on any of those things. But if there's $5 or something that you want to do, it'll be on our Facebook page.
Yeah, we have.
And we'll link it
Yes.
in our stream, and we'll take donations. We'll extend it, and anything that we raise, we will donate in our name to the Trevor Project.
To the Trevor Project, and let's just say we have decided our top goal. Our goal is $333. So we're not asking a whole lot, and we know that times are tough right now for everybody. So don't feel that you have to give, but if you can, every dollar counts, guys. Every dollar helps an at-risk youth in the community. And, what more can we ask for than to help our youth? Because they're our next generation. They're the ones that are supposed to make this world a better place. So we have to help them to be able to get there.
And then we do it on like a page, like when you have like your birthday on Facebook and you say, instead of giving me a present, do a donation. That's where we're going to have it listed, because all of that money goes to the charity. I don't know if we did it on YouTube, if all the money would go to the charity.
No.
So we want to make sure it all goes to there. So I know it's an extra click.
Not what we want.
It's an extra click, but even $1, $5, any of that goes towards.
And we are going to be moving our show to kind of a queer focus. Seems to be what's really caught on with you guys, and the shows that you want to see. There's a lot coming up. It's not just All Stars. Legendary's on. Love Victor is coming out tomorrow. So there's a lot of these shows and documentaries and series and stuff that are there that we can talk about. We just give us some suggestions, whatever. But it seems to be that those are the shows that you guys want us to talk about.
Yeah, if there's any other new shows, I also just saw, and I'm just going to tell the panel, I saw that.
Don't be scared. We are still going to do AHS coverage for you guys.
Or
we know you guys are about that, or Ryan Murphy, and anything related with Ryan Murphy, we will still be covering. So do not panic. I know right now a couple mouths just dropped. So I'm just letting you guys know we're still here for you for that too. But we're going to also focus on these other topics that we think really engage our audience, and we think that are hot button topics that really need to be talked about right now.
Absolutely. I did just see a trailer for the second season of The Politician.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, really?
It looks totally different. Bette Midler and Judith
What? Okay.
All right. I tried to
right.
get into the first season. I just couldn't.
He's dropping
Yeah,
it.
But we be careful. We're digressing. We can talk
I
about this
know.
backstage.
Yeah.
So
We'll go about that backstage because
we're at 45. So we just want to say we have brought you guys the 10 commandments, the killings, the motivations behind them, who did them, and we've explained them and why. And we hope you guys enjoyed this stream.
and
we
now
hope
we're going
see
to have
you
to
guys
leave
back.
room 64.
You're now leaving. Ba, ba, ba.
Bye.
So we will see you guys. We love
This
you. We
is
love
the
you
end.
for being here. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later.
Bye, guys.
And we're out.